Hi everyone, G, the craft facilitator of technology integration and coaching, and we have started to engage in some of those conversations more with technology and purposefully using it, right? And making sure that we are always going back to not using tech to use tech, but going back to that purpose, going back to the why, going back to what is that tech supposed to help accomplish with the content, with the objective, things like that. So, I decided to kind of help curate some resources for you. I was watching a webinar that was really helpful on, virtual reality and some of those opportunities that kind of expand the opportunities outside of the four classroom walls for our students. And so I put together some of these resources just so you know some of the options that are available for you. If you're interested in, creating these opportunities that students wouldn't have otherwise. So all of these options I'm going to show you pretty much accomplish the same thing. They might have different strengths as far as lending its hand, like Google Earth will lend its hand more for student agency as we're looking at that shift and like the authentic work. So just kind of keeping that in mind. So these are all different opportunities to engage in more virtual reality, virtual field trips, taking students to places they couldn't go otherwise. So the first one I want to show you is Nearpod. Nearpod actually has a virtual reality simulation built into it, which, as we know, is one of our district purchases. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Nearpod. And I'm going to just go ahead and create a new activity. So I've already logged in. This is just like my Nearpod like home screen. I'm going to go to create, and then I'm going to go to lesson. That's going to pop up that screen that allows me to choose what I'm going to be creating. I'm going to add content and activities, and I'm going to go right here to virtual field trip. So this is powered by 360 Cities, which we will actually see next if you want to use it as its own entity. But you can search anything here. You can use any of these different things in order to create a virtual reality for students to explore. This looks beautiful, so I'm going to go with going to Greece. You can preview it if you want to preview it, see what it would look like for your students. I'm just going to click and drag so I can see that that is how I'm able to kind of further explore. Look at those beautiful colors. And if that's something that you are ready, you can click done. And then that will add this virtual field trip into your Nearpod. So this is something that you can engage in if you would like to engage within Nearpod with maybe like a greater self-paced lesson, or maybe it's something that you're doing with your students. You could go through Nearpod. If you want to do 360 by itself, this is also an opportunity. So you can, again, search anywhere. They also have, just on their home screen, you can actually scroll in and scroll out. You can kind of get a better idea of what this is going to look like from a different perspective. So I'm just going to put in, let's do Grand Canyon. I'm going to search that, and then that's going to give me these different options. Okay, so I'm just going to go with this one. Click on that, and then this is going to be the same type of thing. So you can make this full screen, and then you can click and drag, kind of look down, you can look up, you can really take in all those details. You could absolutely scroll in. Maybe you could use this for creative writing. You could have students take an image, they could choose a virtual reality, kind of go on a virtual field trip, and then write about what they see. You could do a think, pair, share with it. You could use lots of that really like descriptive writing. You could talk about the geography, the history behind some of these natural landforms. There are lots of different things that we can use to integrate this into that greater content, not just using it to use it, but what are we trying to achieve with that? There's also another one called Airpano, which again works like a very similar way. I'm going to go, oh, this looks nice. I'm going to go over here to Italy. I'm just going to click on that. You could also search and find something specific. And then I'm going to click in here. It actually also has music with it, so it kind of gives you a better feel for the entire area. There's an article also associated with it. So that gives you some of that background knowledge for students. It's that built-in research. Again, um, connecting it to the content and what you're really trying to achieve there. Right. And then we have Google Earth, which I know I've highlighted Google Earth before. There's so much you can do with Google Earth. It's incredible. Blows my mind. But it's also very similar. So I can search here. Let's search. Let's do. Apparently I'm going to do Indonesia. I've done Sumatra, Indonesia before. So this will actually take me, you can see it pulls out, and then it'll actually take me straight into that specific area where you can, again, pull in and look at everything. You can pull out, you can change the perspectives. So 2D, 3D. If I go over here to 3D, it's going to kind of change that. I can go over here and select a specific place. There's just so many things that you can do. It'll go directly into that, and you can see it from like a human perspective, like if you were standing in there. Isn't this neat? So you can go on lots of different virtual field trips with Google Earth as well. Definitely could talk about the culture differences and different things like that. And the last one was new to me. I didn't know this one, but YouTube. So you could go into YouTube. And let's say I'm going to do the Grand Canyon again. You can go into YouTube, search Grand Canyon, but then if you change your filter here, you can choose 360. So you can search for Grand Canyon 360. And if I click on, let's say, this video, it actually allows me within the video to change what I'm looking at. So if I go into full screen, I can then scroll out, scroll in. I can change this perspective. I didn't know that YouTube had this feature. So it, again, accomplishes what you might want to already do in other places, but YouTube, it might be something that you are comfortable with, familiar with, your kids are familiar with. So that might be an easier thing for you to tackle, a platform that you're already comfortable with. So all of these are great options, but again, not focusing on the tech, but how can tech support what I'm trying to accomplish with this learning objective? How can tech support expanding opportunities beyond the four classroom walls? How can tech support giving our students student agency and choice and voice? How can it support giving them opportunities for authentic work and really exploring some of these things that they couldn't do otherwise? So these are some really great options for some of that virtual reality and kind of diving into some of that, and always hoping and always pushing and always striving for that to then connect to those objectives that you want students to achieve.